Well, it's a clamour to carry out excavations at the Qutub Minar complex in Delhi. That clamour seems to be growing with each passing day. The Cultural Secretary has visited this site along with historians, sparking reports that the excavation was set to continue. But Cultural Minister G. Kishan Reddy has clarified that no such order had been issued and they are looking into the matter. Protests were held last week to rename it as Vishnu Sthamb. Now, although that is not the way to go about it, there is no harm in finding the truth and examining our pre-Islamic past as well. Joining us at this point is Dr. LUBNA Kamal, Impar Media panelist. We also have Utpal Kaul, historian, joining us live. Sumit Peer, political commentator, joins us live. Feroz Bakht Ahmed, the educationist and Chancellor Maulana Azad National Urdu University, is with us live as well. Utpal Kaul, let me begin with you first. How do you react to these demands now regarding Qutub Minar in Delhi? Do you believe a survey is needed here?
As a student of history, I don't think there is a need of any excavation because it is established fact. When I visited Qutub Minar some 45 years back, on the very first day I discovered it was the Qutub Minar is built on a temple. And I have done a lot of research on it. I have visited nearly 100 times, and I can go with the NewsX team and show you how it is perfect piece of architecture, of Indian architecture, leaving the Kuwait Islam Mosque on one side, leaving the Qutub Minar on the other side, but then there is much more than there. And for one, the famous, world famous iron pillar of Mehroli, where there is an inscription, and inscription tells what it is. So it is built some 1850 years back by King Chandra, and which can be to Gupta dynasty, or it can go to the Vikramaditya, or it is written that Chandra, when he conquered the nearby territories, he celebrated and built this iron pillar, and it's a unique iron pillar. It's a curiosity of all historians and scientists what metal it is. Then you can go around and so see how many figures of Vishnu, goddesses, gods are around. Even after 1,000 years of building Qutub Minar. And it is obviously, Qutub Minar is whole outside is holy Quranic verses are there. But and in the main complex also, you can see the structure there, and outside is the holy Quranic verses there. But for historians like me, for students of history and archaeology, it is established fact that there were 27 Hindu temples and Jain temples there. Because you see, the name itself can describe what happened at that time. Because when Islam came in northern India first, Mahmud Ghaznavi attacked it many times, but he was always going back to his home. But it was Mahmud Gauri, and then Iltutmish and Qutbuddin Aibak. They worked on this and called this first mosque as Kuwait Islam Mosque, the power of Islam, that here we have come and here we want to establish ourselves. And they did this great, build the minaret. But there are historians and there are scholars that I can refer. One scholar is Kedar Sharma, who wrote some 50 years back book that Qutub Minar, at the site of Qutub Minar, it was a great astronomical and astrological center. And so there was a minaret where the people were watching the stars and calculating there. So what I say that further research is needed. There is no conflict on it. And historians and scholars know what is what. But we have to solve this problem, but more research will be good. If I have to compare it, we have one great scholar, English scholar, Lawrence. You must see he has written Value of Kashmir, and in the Value of Kashmir he describes how the destruction of Marthan temple was happened in Kashmir. There is no controversy on these things. Past is past, but we have to get it in the right perspective and understand what is what. So for me, at Qutub Minar, it was established, it was the most important, because Delhi is built 7 times, and this was the most important historical place at that time, nearly 1,500 years. This Mehroli was like the capital city of Delhi and around Delhi in Indraprastha. So there it was a happening place. So we had temples there, both Hindu temples and Jain temples. So for me, what Mr. Cultural Minister has said, and what he will order or not, but person like me who have studied Qutub Minar and who have studied the Jain temples and Hindu temples there, for me it was a place of Hindu worship and Jain worship which was taken over by Muslim invaders. Thank you.
Okay, Utpal Kaul, stay with us. In fact, I want to quickly toss that across to Lubna Kamal as well. Dr. Lubna Kamal, how do you respond to the points that Utpal Kaul just raised? There are other demands, of course, who are saying now that Qutub Minar should be renamed as Vishnu's Thumb. How are you viewing these demands, and do you believe there needs to be a relook at shrines like Qutub Minar, or that's something we should not do, particularly for tourist monuments like Qutub Minar and Taj Mahal?
See, I don't see any wrong if there are parts of temple over there. Then obviously it should be brought to public notice, and they should be heritage listing, and it has to be kept in a museum. Then it's obviously it's okay. But you know, in medically speaking, digging up too much of past means that you are in depression. What I suggest is that we should move ahead too at the same time. And again, now speaking of historical wrongs, because see, there are a lot of places, such sites where different monuments came up. Initially, there was something else, and then because there are Buddhist stupas also, and temples stand there. So we cannot, you know, keep on correcting those historical wrongs, because then we first should see about this Kohinoor and 45 trillion of wealth that the British took with them, because that is a more recent historical wrong. Then the Jews and the Nazis, all the Nazis cannot be punished, because that has happened. Whatever has happened has happened. So at the same time, yes, I mean, the legacy, the heritage should be preserved, but at the same time, we should stop looking in the past and move ahead.
Okay, we need to move ahead, stop looking at the past, says Dr. Lubna Kamal. Is that something you agree with, Sumit Peer? Or do you believe there is a relook at our pre-Islamic history as well, particularly the historically significant shrines, temples and other pilgrimage places?
Udayji, thank you very much for having me on your show. So the point here is very simple, because, you know, after the Gyanvapi Mosque, the Honorable Supreme Court, the District Court, and I would say the judicial system of India has paved the way that we can relook into many structures. So there is no limitation of relooking into a structure, and there is no 1991 Act and all. There is no barrier in between them. And our system, our legal system, is based on the process of natural justice. So I don't know what is in the legal system. I don't even care to understand. But as a person, if I want to take a legal recourse as per the law of natural justice, on which our legal system is based, I have fully right to do so. So any kind of excavation or any kind of history or whatever scientific methods you want to use are more than welcome, because there is a legal recourse which is available now. It is not important what Mr. Krishna Reddy says or what he believes, because if anybody today can go to a court of law, I think which somebody has already gone, I think the hearing is on 24th May, then if the Honorable Court, looking at the precedent set by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, directs the ASI or directs the concerned authorities to go and look into these claims, you have a right like what happened in Gyanvapi Mosque, then they will have to go and look into the site. Now I'll point out a few things which are very astonishing vis-a-vis Qutub Minar. And Uday, before I get to that, why is it that Hindu history is always compromisable, negotiable? Let's forget about it. When Aurangzeb did what he did, आप कहते हैं भाई तब secularism नहीं था, तब constitution नहीं था, ठीक है, no worries. He did whatever he did. Now today there is secularism and constitution. Why are we still towing the Aurangzeb's line? Why are we still towing that Aurangzebi mentality, Aurangzebi mansikta? Why we are not getting over it? That time we blame the Aurangzeb, but why today all kinds and types of hurdles are being kind of put into these structures? Why the other community is not showing the magnanimity and say, "Theek hai, bhai, jo hua tha, that is done." I mean, let's move on and let's kind of handle a few sides. Now look at Qutub Minar, Uday. 72 feet height, 14 feet is the width, and when you go top, it becomes 2 meters. Right, 14 from meters to 2 meters. Now there are a couple of things. First of all, in which Islamic structure faces the north? This structure faces the north. Usually Hindu temples face the north. Which Islamic structure has Ganesha, Lakshmi, Kamal and Swastika in it? There has nowhere this structure has. In which Islamic structure you have a Ganti on it? Ganti is considered evil as per Islam. Here we have Gantis engraved in it. Now if I go to the top, the logic is that it was used to give the azan. Now from scientifically it's proven at that height where it takes 40 minutes for a person to go up and 40 minutes to come down. If I had to go 5 times a day, it's impossible. And from that height, any Superman can give the azan. Nobody will hear it below the ground because that is not the pitch of the human voice. So, and now we also know, looking at the rubbles, there were 27 temples where the material was used to build this up. And the most important thing is what Utpalji mentioned about the iron pyramid. The radiocarbon dating says, Uday, the iron pyramid dates back to Chandragupta Maurya's time. On the iron pillar, there are sculptures written in Sanskrit. There are shlokas written in Sanskrit. One of the Islamic rulers tried to point a tank towards it and bring it down, but the tank did not work. So when you have these things which are visibly, which are explicit, and the most important thing, red sandstone was not found in Delhi. It was got from Rajasthan. And look at the dome and look at the structure. The color and the material does not match. Again, a Gyanvapi kind of a structure repeats. I'm giving you the facts which anybody can go see and validate and check for himself. Now, if these things are out in the explicit and we are having no resolution on Gyanvapi Mosque, we are having no resolution on moving ahead, that is what I've been always warning on news. If we don't come to a consensus, the window of opportunity is closing, sir. Then there are 44,000 such sites, which includes Qutub Minar as well. So then every site has to be opened, all case khuleng. And if at all there is a Hindu temple which is built on a Buddhist stupa or which is built on a mosque, that also should be returned. I'm not saying that it should be one way, it should be both ways. But look at who has to gain, who has to lose. Mathematics is the absolute science. You might have 1 or 2 such cases, but at least in the visible domain, Uday, we have 44,000 cases. They might go to 100,000 cases. Now, this is what we're looking at? So, but at the end of the day, I want to make one last point. We cannot, when it comes to Hinduism, we cannot use secularism, constitution, legality, and say ki bhai aap bhul jao. At the time of Aurangzeb or Muhammad Ghori or Tughlaq or Ghazni, whatever they did is did. Okay, I'm okay with it. Bhai unhone kar diya. But why that mentality still lives? So after 350 years, are we saying today that the mentality of Aurangzebi Mansikta is still surviving? Is still prevailing the people to go to the legal recourse when they can see? We have seen what happened in Wazoo Khana. We have seen the shivlings coming up. Exactly the same thing is going to happen in Qutub Minar also. If we don't reach to a consensus, this Pandora's box is going to open and open big time. And the law of the land has set the records. Act of Worship Act 1991 is not a barrier to go and find the truth. And truth has to be found. It's a Hindu faith, it's a Muslim faith, or whichever faith it is. Hindus cannot be compromised by saying, bhai, ek act hai, constitution hai, secularism hai, you go and fly a kite. Well, that's not going to happen, Uday. Back to you.
Okay, please respond, Feroz Bakht Ahmed. Feroz Bakht Ahmed? Okay, Lubna Kamal.
Yeah. So actually, this Aurangzeb mentality, whatever Sumit sir has stated, I won't agree to that because it is part of my history as well. If there was a temple, it is part of my history, my legacy as well. So it is not like it belongs only to you. The site of Qutub Minar belongs only to you. It's not like that. But delving into 44,000 sites, I mean, the amount of either it should be through MOU, as we have discussed earlier in several other debates. I mean, putting up so much of energy and I mean, going through a legal recourse, I don't find it advisable. I don't find it suitable.
Can I come in?
Yes.
Uday, my point is, you see, so many days on News Expo, I've been saying, if we settle Gyanvapi Mosque and Mathura, there is a possibility. Sir, I'm nobody to comment on front of Hindus. I'm not a person who has the mere auqaat nahi hai bolne ki, but there is a possibility. Ma'am, let me complete, ma'am. Then there is a possibility. But if we are dallying, like if we are saying a Shivling is a fountainhead, if we are saying we still want to use the wuzu pond, if we keep on denying the reality, if we keep on deceiving the eyes of a 1.5 billion people, well, that is not going to make sense, because we have to come up and show, okay, let's settle this, Indo ko settle karte, then others we can have some kind of agreement. The negotiation can start on the table when you bring Mathura and Kashi, and then the negotiation can start. But if you are not willing to talk, and if you are, again, we are told that Sanatanis don't understand the difference between a Shivlinga and a fountainhead, well, that is not going to work. Uday, it's not what I believe, or it's not what you can agree to on a studio. It is the aspirations of 1.5 billion people. We cannot challenge that. We cannot agree that. And the legal recourse is also said. There's a precedence. Anybody, even you and me agree, anybody can go to a court of law and order, and the honorable courts can look into that. That is what we have seen in the case of Gyanvapi Mosque. So it is better we come to a consensus and we kind of settle this down. If some people or some parties are willing to make a business out of it, are willing to make their political careers out of it, now they have to decide, is it now, then everything will open. Because today...
Okay, Lubna Kamal, quick response, and then Feroz Bakht Ahmed on the larger point, and Utpal Kaul as well.
That is what I was trying to say, that people should not carve their political careers out of all these issues. It should be between the public, the common people, and they are the ones, they should be ones who decide through MOU.
Yes, let me quickly go back to Utpal Kaul and Feroz Bakht Ahmed on the larger point now. Do we have Feroz Bakht Ahmed with us? Okay, Utpal Kaul, come in here on the fact that while yes, there are signs here, as Sumit Peer was listing out, and of course you pointed out earlier as well, that there are reasons to believe that this was possibly a temple. There are reasons to believe that the initial structure was something else. But then there will be those who will argue, do we really want to raise or excavate a big tourism hotspot? A hotspot like Qutub Minar and Taj Mahal, which gets hundreds and thousands of tourists from abroad. Do we really want to raise them down or excavate at these sites?
First of all, I am a person from, I call myself cultural ambassador of India and also of tourism. So there is no question of anything going down. Taj Mahal is mine and Qutub Minar is also mine. So no question of that. But I want to give you a reference of former RSS chief. 33 years back, he appealed to Muslim community that we have three most important pilgrimage places of Hindus. One is Kashi, another is Ayodhya, and third is Ram Janambhoomi. You hand over these three places to Hindus and we will live like brothers, because you are also Indian, we are also Indian, we have to live here. So I also appeal to all politicians and all Muslims and everyone that these should be amicably, harmoniously handed over to Hindus so that we will live peace and with peace and tranquility. I want to add one point here. I saw the statement of Mahbooba Mufti today, and she said that this government is having Gujarat model and they have Assam model and they have UP model. And I tell her, please don't repeat Kashmir model where you destroyed 20,000 Hindu houses and 450 temples. Don't repeat that. My house was burnt and our temple was burnt. If I don't raise that my temple has been built only 28 years back or 30 years back, history will not, they will think that I am a coward. So I have to raise these issues, what happened in Kashmir, how our 450 temples only 32 years back were burnt. So we have to be conscious how to live peacefully. And I repeat that Muslims with gracefully should hand over these three important places and we can live in peace and harmony.
Uday, can I come in?
Yes.
Uday, you see, the point here is nobody is asking of dismantling anything. But first of all, you have to find the fact and tell us what is the fact. Then there are alternate solutions. Why can't देखो अगर आप देखेंगे, if you look at the Qutub complex, it's big enough. Why can't a big temple come there? If you look at the Taj complex, is big enough. Why can't a Bhavya Shiv Mandir come there? So both of the things can exist. We are not saying go and let's bring them down. We are not saying that. But what is rightfully what belongs to Hindus, you cannot even deny that, yaar. I mean, we cannot say कि ठीक है आप भूल जाइए सब कुछ. When has the minority community come and told, okay, Gyanvapi mosque, now the truth is out, let's hand it down to our Hindus, let's settle the Mathura, and then we can move on. But that is not happening. Dr. Kamal here has some good ideas, but at the end of the day, the bigger majority, the silent majority, doesn't think like that. Still, people like Owaisi and the Muslim personal law board are handling the things, are calling the shots. If they are calling the shots and the silent majority is silent, and the silent majority is silent, what is assumed, presumed, and believed that this is what the majority wants, this is what the community wants. Then if it's that what the community wants, then there's the Hindu community over here which has its set of beliefs, which has its own deities. They will also want to have their 2 cents in it. They may not agree to what you and me and Kol Sahab can agree or disagree here. They'll say, bhai, agar ye log nahi maan rahe, let's take the legal recourse. It may not settle in 10, 20, 30 years. It may settle in 100 years. You and me may not live to see that day, but that day will come because the truth will prevail. Uday, it's not a question of what you and me want. The truth will prevail. And with Ram Janam Bhoomi and with latest Gyanvapi Masjid, directive of the honorable courts, we have a precedent set. We have a legal part charge. It is only 3 things. It's evidence, it is science, and it is, the historical data which is collected around it. If the evidence speaks like that, if the science speaks like that, and the historical data speaks like that, then the judiciary also has to go by the logic. It doesn't have to go by your and my thoughts or perceptions. Then when these things come out and speak, yes, there was a temple, yes, 27 temples were destroyed. Okay. Yes, this is where the story is. Then it has to be settled by natural justice. And our country, sir, we believe in principle of natural justice. Then where is the natural justice for me if it is not settled? That is the question I want to ask.
Let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us. We've run completely out of time. A quick break.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.